Good morning and welcome to Purpose Driven Finances, where our focus is helping you use your finances to achieve the purpose and plan for your life. And now here's the host of Purpose Driven Finances, Alan Molina with Serwus Capital Management.
Hey, good morning. I went tenor on that one, but hey, good morning to you, my friend. Hope you're having a great weekend, enjoying the balmy weather. You know, the grass is starting to turn green. Just an exciting thing. You know, just what I want to do, get my lawnmower working. But you know what? We're sitting here talking about finances. I'm president of Serwus Capital Management, your host of Purpose Driven Finances, sitting here with my bud, my friend, Rich Roth. How you doing, man?
What's up, Alan? How are you?
Just a glorious day.
It is glorious.
In about 2 hours, I start a new pool tournament. I'm trying to do them every 2 weeks. My wife is still gracious and doesn't complain. So she's like, Alan, I want you to start winning those tournaments. Give me some bucks.
Ride that wave as long as it'll last, baby.
The last tournament we went to, she was my, the pit crew chief. She was like, Alan, you need to eat. You need to get something to drink. You need to do this. You need to do that. Come on now.
Your coach.
So it was good.
Manager.
It was good. Yeah, my manager, she did a great job. It was a lot of fun. So, Rich, you probably know this just because being in the finance industry. I have clients who are libertarians. I have clients who are Republicans, and I have clients that are Democrats.
Mm-hmm.
Then I have some clients who are like, I don't care. I've never voted. I'm not going to vote. And so it doesn't matter to me.
Okay.
Which that part saddens me, because I think you should always vote. But this week I had the opportunity to meet with some Republicans and some Democrats. And here is what amazed me. When I went to the Democrats, I was kind of, they wanted to meet all of a sudden, and so I was a little nervous because I was like, oh man, you've been my client for years. What I didn't know how it was going to go just by their wording in their email and scheduling, but they were happy. But the thing that concerned them is they were angry. And I'm using nice language for them. I mean, they were mad.
Why?
The government. And they weren't like, Trump is the worst thing since mold on bread or flat tires in the middle of summer in the desert.
What are you talking about? You're making stuff up here.
Well, that's the way I go.
That's the worst thing in the world?
Well,
it's a flat tire?
In the middle of the desert, it's definitely bad.
Okay.
Have you ever tried it?
Tried what? A flat tire?
In the middle of the desert?
I've never been in the middle of the desert.
Well, neither have I, but I can just imagine. Imagine it's like 120 degrees, you have no water, and you're like 20 miles from anywhere, and your tire's flat. Dude, that's not a happy place to be.
Do I have a cell phone?
I don't know.
You don't know?
I'm not you.
I mean, if I do, I'm just making a call.
Right. But you're still going to get cooked.
Come get me, baby.
Yeah, exactly. AAA, we'll be there in 4 hours. Right. Make sure you get some shade.
Right.
Where am I supposed to get that?
Right.
Because the only shade in the desert is where the rattlesnakes hang out.
That's right.
So,
under the cacti.
Yeah, exactly. So not a fun place to be. But that's what I was expecting. And I preempted them. I'm like, I don't want to talk politics. I don't really, because they're very smart. They've done well in life. I just was not in the mood to talk politics because, that's not my wheelhouse. And I'm not here to defend Trump, and things such as that because I don't know enough in the political realm. But I was sitting there and I was amazed. They weren't angry at Trump. They were angry at the U.S. government because they said, you know what, Alan, we're going to retire in 3 to 5 years. And I'm not confident Social Security is going to be there. So I gave him some really good news. I don't know if you heard this. No, I don't expect you heard it because I was I was on a call this week. I pay for research, and I listen to 2 to 3 hours of research a day. That being said, there was a congressman, Republican, that was on the research call from Arizona, and the research firm I use, they don't manage money. All they do is research. And they were talking, and he didn't really know about the research firm. And he's like, well, I hope you folks are better than the normal media I talk with who doesn't know math. which was kind of funny,
Mm.
because we talk about fractal geometry and stochastic models and all kinds of things like that. It was kind of funny. But here is what really, really smacked me in the face. Because we've talked about, as a financial advisor, I've talked about Social Security and the government overspending. But this congressman, this floored me. He said in 2033, 32, I forget the exact year,
Mm-hmm.
Social Security is going to run out. Guess how much the government, U.S. government, has to pay per year to keep Social Security going?
How much?
Give me a number.
How much the government has, say it again, how much the government has to pay to?
It's expected that the Social Security Trust Fund is going to be gone, I think in 2033, 2032, something like that. Gone.
Uh-huh.
So the U.S. government's going to have to pay for every Social Security recipient. How much do you think it's going to be?
A year?
Yep.
I can't even venture a guess as to how many billions of dollars.
600.
Billion?
Yes.
A year?
A year. Wow. And that kind of blew my mind because right now, thank you, at the end of the first Trump administration, they had to spend a whole lot deficit spending, and that's just because of COVID, and people are like, whining and complaining, but realistically, come on, man. What are you going to do when you get these videos from China and they're welding people in their rooms and you see all these bodies wrapped in sheets in the emergency room from China? It kind of freaks people out. And then you have the Democrats, governors putting COVID patients in the nursing home. It's scary. So that's what you expected the government to spend a whole lot of money. But the problem is they've continued it. And so last year it was about a $1.9 trillion. So if the U.S. government doesn't get its ship in order, then that means in 2032, 2033, we're going to be spending $2.5, $2.6 trillion. And it's going to go up between now and then.
Of course it will.
And so
How many billions are in a trillion? 100?
100? No, 1,000 billions are in a trillion.
1,000 billions?
Uh-huh.
Okay.
And so what ends up happening is these were Democrats. And when I say angry, that's being nice. I mean, they were angry. So angry, the wife raised her voice and yelled, not yelling at me, but just that's how passionate she was. And so what's amazing is there's a lot of people out there concerned. And you say, Alan, this is finance. Why are you talking about this? This is going to affect us for 7 years. There's going to be changes made. There has to be. And there's two things, and I use this segue, is because Trump and Bessent, he's over the Treasury.
Mm-hmm.
They're in lockstep. Now, I used the wrong color. I meant to use orange, and it came out like
yellow. I can barely
dirty
read
yellow.
that.
Yeah, so I was like, what the heck, Alan?
It's like someone peed on the page.
Right, no kidding. What the heck, man? So this is from Trump's State of the Union. I was trying to Google.
That one's okay, right? We're not going to have to delete two of my
Right.
things.
Yeah, exactly. Peed on the page. That's fine.
Okay, thank you.
There's a lot of words that come to mind about how angry people are. But check this out. This is from Trump in the State of the Union. This is the exact quote. Among my very highest priorities is to rescue our economy and get dramatic and immediate relief to working families. Okay, the key there that I want to share is rescue the economy.
Mm-hmm.
So my natural thing, because I'm a problem solver and I like going down rabbit holes. I don't like going down cougar burrows, or bobcat holes or rattlesnake dens. Rabbit holes, I don't mind.
Okay.
Yes, I'm Mr. Euphemism today.
Yeah, I can see.
That's just you should.
You're just making them up.
You should ask my family. 75% of them stick. Okay. That being said, so if Trump says to rescue our economy, it doesn't really feel that it's that bad. I mean,
the economy, you mean?
right? Because realistically, orange juice is like down 20% this week. Potatoes are like down 30 or 40%. Things are starting to come down. Unemployment, they just reported on Friday, is at 4.1%. That's not, if you don't have a job, that's bad. But as a whole, the economy is doing well. What needs to be rescued? What's going on? So I think part of it is Social Security. All this waste. There was a, and I can't remember, but I think it was an energy company that had a P.O. box that just sprung up at the end of Biden's thing.
Mm-hmm.
They got $27 million. They're like, where'd the money go? I think that's what he's talking about. But let me. You want to? This is from Bessent. You want to read it, or you want me to read it?
No, I'll read it.
It's in better color.
He acknowledged signs of economic weakness in the United States and said that the economy was addicted to public spending and needed a, quote, detox period.
Right, exactly. What he's talking about there, and I think it dovetails with what Trump said, that Trump needs to rescue the economy, is because the problem with the U.S. economy is it's gotten so dependent on what the government does. And if you remember last week, Rich, and you listeners who are faithful every week, or, some people can't listen every week just because of life. Last week, I mentioned that Bessent wants to go through and cause the economy to be privatized. Right now, it's run by the U.S. government because there's so much deficit spending. And that being said, he wants the government to go into a detox, or the economy go into a detox.
Okay.
So what's going to end up happening is the next 6 to 12 months are going to get rough. The economy is going to slow, but hopefully it will be enough to where the nice thing is interest rates are going to come down. They've already started. I was looking at a 2-year. I think the 2-year Treasuries come down 36 basis points this month. That's pretty good.
How does that? All right, rabbit hole.
I like them.
Not a rattlesnake den.
Yeah, not a rattlesnake den.
Just a rabbit hole.
Mm-hmm.
How does that? You talk about the 2-year and the 10-year and all that. Interest rates are coming down. What most people think of when they think of interest rates is prime, right? Because that's what loans are typically tied to. Prime plus a quarter, prime plus 1, prime minus a quarter, whatever the case might be. Right. Prime's still hanging around 7.5% now.
You know what? I don't really follow prime.
But is that the one that's more important to consumers because that's what loans are tied to? And how is that affected?
Well, I'm not a mortgage guy.
I know.
However, everything that I hear is you can really determine the mortgage rates by what happens to the 10-year.
Okay.
Because what ends up happening is the 10-year, if 10-year goes up in the rates, generally mortgage rates go up. And the 10-year has started to come down. And so if I'm correct, mortgage rates dropped a significant amount in the past month. And the reason being is when I say the market, that includes commodities, currencies, bonds, and stocks, that they are expecting the Federal Reserve to lower interest rates 2 to 3, maybe even 4 times this year. And so that being said, what's going to end up happening is the economy is going to slow, and it's going to enable, hopefully, the small businesses, James River Media, Cyrus Capital Management, in order to exponentially grow and take on the government detox that's occurring.
So can you relate to how prime, because I'm looking at rates now, and prime looked like it was as high as 8.5 back in July of 23.
Right. What is it now?
7.5. And it's been hanging there since December. So prime hasn't moved since December.
So it tells me it's more tied to the federal funds rate.
Okay.
And rather than tied to
the 10-year.
The 10-year.
Okay.
Right. And
so, but when people hear interest rates are coming down and they look and, and prime's still hanging around where it was 3 or 4 months ago, how does that relate to us common folk?
When you can either do it, why don't you do it on the break?
Okay.
We'll do a minute break. And then what'll happen is look at mortgage rates.
Mm-hmm.
But I've heard, because I don't track them on a daily basis.
Right.
That's not my business.
Right.
But I've heard from my research that I get every day that mortgage rates dropped significantly over the past month.
Okay.
And that would tell me it's more tied to the 10-year, because prime it's just a stagnant, and I dare to say it's more tied to interbank loans and the Fed, whereas the 10-year is more market driven rather than things like that.
Okay.
Now, really quick, to tell you folks, the market's probably going to rally over the next week. Use the opportunity. I'm banging my table. Do you hear it?
I hear it.
I'm banging the table. I hope you hear it.
Pounding the table, baby.
Pounding the table. Take this opportunity to de-risk your portfolio. Take it. Because
by that you mean what?
Reduce the amount of stock and go more to bonds. Or get out of tech and go to more conservative stocks. You need to do it. You need to do it. Dynamic asset allocation, we've done it. QPM is up for February. It's been a good month for March.
So you're saying the train's coming, get off the tracks.
Exactly. So, folks, stick around for our second half of the show. We're going to talk about scams and a little bit about mortgages. Give me a call, 434-316-0246. You probably don't know how to de-risk your portfolio. You need my help. Call me.
Hi, everyone. Brian Kilmeade here. Coming up on the next edition of the Brian Kilmeade Show, we'll have the biggest newsmakers, news breakers, and take a deep dive into news you care about. Whether it's breaking news, entertainment, politics, or sports, even pop culture, I'll bring you the latest developments with expert analysis from the big names you know and love. Plus, you never know who may stop by. That's all coming up on the next edition of the Brian Kilmeade Show.
Weekday mornings from 9 to noon on WLNI.
This is Chainsaw Talk with Tommy, the Woodsman. Do ladders and tree work mix? A quick internet search will give you the answer. Ladies, if you see your man carrying a ladder and a chainsaw towards your tree, just go ahead and dial 911. There is a reason professional tree companies don't use ladders. When the tips of the branch hit the ground first, they will compress, creating a spring. Unfortunately, this energy is redirected back towards the cut end of the branch and can take the ladder right out from under him. Stick around for more great tips from Tommy, the Woodsman. I have a saw for that.com.
And now, back to Purpose-Driven Finances. Here's Alan Molina with Serwus Capital Management.
Hey, folks, this is Alan Molina, your host of Purpose-Driven Finances. We just wanted to see if you liked our music. Hey, the 10-year Treasury in about a month's time has gone from 475 down to 460.
What did you say,
10-year.
10-year Treasury?
10-year.
Okay.
That's not a huge move. But in the same, since January 19th, the national average for a 30-year fixed was 711. Now it's 682.
So quarter point?
Yeah, which is pretty good. However, if the bank rate has gone from 645 down to 599, that's over a half point.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, you talk about interest rates and you look at bonds, right? The 10-year, the Fed, then there's prime, then there's it's like what should people focus on?
Right. 10-year.
10-year?
That's what I do, but I'm not a mortgage guy.
But that's more on the investment side than it is on the loan side, right?
The 10-year has fallen, and it hasn't fallen that much, but I've always been told that the 10-year and the mortgage rates go together.
Okay.
Not, so talk to,
Well, one of the reasons I ask is we just got a HELOC, home
Good.
equity line of credit.
We're good.
And it is tied to prime.
Yeah.
So it's prime
plus or minus.
Or minus. Yeah.
Whatever. So check this out. Folks, I'm going to reiterate. take the market bounce this week to reduce your risk in your portfolio. Because I know I've shared it many times, different quads and things such as that. But we're looking at, and my wife, I can hear my wife, Alan, they don't know what a quad is. We're looking at a quad for the first half of the rest of the year. The first half of the rest of the, from here to June. And what that means is economics slowing down and the inflation is going down.
Okay.
It's not a great place to be. You need to reduce your risk. Do I need to say it again, Rich? Do you think so?
Reduce your risk in your portfolio.
And call me.
And call out.
Yeah, 434-316-0246. Even, now remember, you get your 401k, 403b that no one's helping you with, call me. You know what's funny is I've had people who have other financial advisors at other firms that I'm not going to mention, and they call me. I'm like, thank you. You know, I appreciate that. So, Rich, we have 8 minutes to go. And, you know, it's good because I think the greatest issue is their portfolios in their 401k, 403b. You need to de-risk.
You know, I was listening to The Morning Line earlier this week,
Mm-hmm.
and they had someone on from the Lynchburg Police Department talking about scams.
Oh, wow.
And, you know, some of the different texts you get,
Uh-huh.
some of the different emails, you know, hey, we're doing this, you know, and it's really tempting to the package one.
Exactly.
Hey, we tried to deliver this package, but we couldn't. Can you
Right.
confirm some?
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of them out there, and I know we're talking about that again today.
I appreciate that segue. You know, I'm not going to go through all the rules because we just don't have time. Not the rules, but why do they happen? Who's most vulnerable? How to protect yourself? Listen to last week's show. But I'm going to talk about examples of scams. First of all, family scams. Now, please do not cancel me because I know you have a bleeding heart for your son or daughter or your cousin or your Aunt Lamont or whoever it is. I know you do.
Aunt Lamont.
You know, it just sounded good.
Okay.
You know, that being said, I'm going to give you two examples.
Okay.
There was a son who went to their mom, and she had a nice little nest egg, you know, $600,000-$700,000, and she took out a mortgage because she had the excess money. She got a very low interest rate. The son came to her and says, "Hey, Mom, I need $350,000 in order to get this job because I need to buy into the company," or I don't really know all the reasons. Well, guess what she did?
Oh, please tell me she didn't give him $350,000.
Yep. Out of the $650,000 she had.
Was it the kid ripping her off, or did the kid get ripped off?
It's both. The kid should never ask the parents.
Well, no, I understand that, but I mean, if the kid asked, thinking he really was, you know what I'm saying? It's different than the kid stealing from his mom.
Yes, let's put it this way. I met the kid.
You wouldn't put it past him.
Right.
Gotcha.
You know, and I mean, I don't want to go down those rabbit holes because, you know, the good thing is this client is very far away. And
dude, that seems crazy though. You know, a $350,000 buy-in just to get a job.
Right.
Jobs are supposed to pay you. You're
Exactly.
not supposed to pay
It's a
them.
pile of crap.
Yeah.
And then the place went bankrupt, and he had the opportunity to get the house. Never paid his mom back. Come on, bro. Come on, bro. Number two, do not take money out of your 401k, 403b, or your IRA in order to buy something for your kids, because your kids are not going to pay for your living expenses in retirement. And you can say, Alan Molina, you don't know my kids. Guess what? I have never met a family where the parents ran out of money in retirement and the kids paid their monthly living expenses in retirement. Do me a favor, correct me. I want to hear the great stories. I want to hear the blessings that you have been given, that you are blessing your parents with. Give me a call, 434-316-0246. The reason I say this, and because parents, they love their kids and they're not going to ask their kids to help them out. They'd much rather cut their medicine in half and eat peanut butter and jelly or Spam than tell their kids, hey, I need some help. So do this. If your kid needs an AC unit for their house, tell them to open the windows. If it's the summer, if it's the winter, I don't know what you're going to do, because it's get them to move in with you. I don't know. It's just if you take money out of your retirement greater than the 5% spending amount, when a recession hits and your portfolio is down 30 or 40%, and you've already spent 15% of it because of bad things, scams, what ends up happening is you're going to outlive your money, and that's not a happy place to be. So don't cancel on me. I'm just giving you warnings, okay? Here's some email scams. And these are things that have happened to me. I haven't taken advantage of them or been scammed by them, but I'll get an email that says, DocuSign. Please sign into this DocuSign and sign the document that you have. And you look at the web address and it's a Gmail address, or it's an email address that is like to a nation in Africa. And I'm like, all you got to do is go on there and mark it as phishing, not F-I-S-H, but P-H-I-S-H-I-N-G, phishing. And it notifies whoever is your email provider that this is happening. Also, you can get emails that, hey, we are trying to charge your credit card through Fidelity or whoever, and you need to log in and verify purchases. So the problem is what happens is you click on that link and it goes to a fake page that looks like Fidelity, Charles Schwab, etc. We had one that looked like Charles Schwab the other day. One of my banks is Charles Schwab. And what ended up happening was we saw it. I showed it to my wife and I said, see, there's issues. But not only that, look at the website. It doesn't say schwab.com. It was like Schwab 3S 5net dot. It just didn't work. So if you, it's good.
And I was just going to say, it's good to look at return email addresses as well. Who sent it to you? It may say Schwab, but then you like hover over it or click on it, and it's, Joe Schmo at gmail.com or whatever, that ain't the way to go.
Then the other item is, here's an invoice for whatever. And what's up happening is you click on it and it installs malware onto your computer. And that being said, you don't want to do that. Now, Rich, I did fall for a trick. I clicked on an email just to see what it was, and all it did was confirm my email. In 1 week, I got over 17,000 emails.
Oh, man.
Because what happened is they like, oh, there's a live email, so now we're going to sign you up for every stinking thing in Russia, Korea, Istanbul. I was getting like this day spa, that day spa, not only, and all these languages, and it totally messed up my email. So folks, be very careful about emails. Also in text, watch out for text. Sometimes they'll send you a text that says, hey, Fidelity has a purchase pending. You click on the link and you put in your bank credentials. Guess what? That website now has all of your bank credentials. Also, you need to watch for the apps. Like, Rich, we've talked about DeepSeek, that AI from China. They not only get your keystroke rhythms, but also your keystrokes. So watch the apps that you have. And I don't know if you remember, but back in the day, there was a flashlight that took all your contacts. So folks, give me a call at 434-316-0246. Or go to my website, servuscm.com. I'm here to help you achieve the purpose and plan for your life. You need to de-risk your portfolio. This market bounce that's going to occur, de-risk your portfolio. And if your advisor doesn't want to do it, you know what to do. Call me. Hope you have a blessed weekend, and I'll talk to you next week.
Illustrative purpose. This is not a suggestion to buy, sell, or use a platform. Only will a suggestion occur after a meeting to determine goals, risk tolerance, and time horizons. Investments involve risks and no guarantee of future results.